Hello, guys, and welcome back to the OT podcast. My name's Thomas Bailey, alongside me, Owen Reed, who's
Hello.
helping here as we get set to close out the NFL season. A long one, but it felt so short. Week 18 predictions coming your way right now. A lot of division rivalry games. Every single game will be that in this week. Owen, I'm really excited. Welcome back. I know it's been a little while.
I know it's
Sorry,
been a
guys.
couple weeks.
But nonetheless, let's take a look at the last week. Owen finishing 13-3, me finishing 12-4. Owen winning the trophy. Okay, bro. As overall record, I have 174-82. Owen with a 187-69. Meaning if Owen can reach the 13 win mark again this week, he will finish the season with 200 wins. So congratulations to him.
Woo!
He also just won our fantasy championship, so congratulations, Owen, on a phenomenal 2024-25 season. Hopefully the Bills can finish it as strong as you have. As let's get it going, starting on Saturday with the eliminated fourth in the AFC North, 3-13 Cleveland Browns, who did take down the Ravens earlier in the season, taking on Baltimore this time in Baltimore. An 11-5 Ravens team looking to lock down the number 3 seed, with a win against the Cleveland Browns. Will they do it, Owen, or do the Browns play spoiler to give the Steelers a chance? What are your thoughts as we kick it off? And I turn it to you.
Yeah, after these past couple weeks that I've watched, especially with the Browns just look done. They look done with their season. Like I feel like they've been done for a few weeks now. I feel like they haven't been putting in as much effort like on the field like as it has been seeming. And like earlier in the season they were competitive. They had the close game in Pittsburgh. They beat Pittsburgh that one game. And like you mentioned, they beat Baltimore earlier in the season, but ever since like a couple weeks ago when they played Kansas City, I felt like they've had like no juice left in the tank here, and now you're going up against a Baltimore team where if they win, they get a home playoff game, and I'm sure they are more than ready for that task to get that division title. And I'm sure the players, probably Lamar Jackson isn't thinking about it, but I'm sure the players are. They're probably thinking about that MVP race in the back of their heads, just like the Bills players were with Josh Allen. I think they're going to want to try to get the offense moving as much as possible in this game. And I think they will. I don't think this game will be relatively close. I think this Ravens team will dominate from start to finish. I don't think the Browns are going to have much of a chance. Myles Garrett will probably still be playing well. He's probably been their only player that's actually been playing well these past couple weeks, and the rest of the team just hasn't been looking that good. So it's going to be a tough one for Cleveland, but honestly, at this point, if you're a Browns fan, you'd be happy with a loss here. So give me the Ravens to win this one and take the AFC North.
Yeah, it's really hard to disagree with that there. I mean, the Browns just haven't played the best football as of late. Really, all season they haven't, clearly with just 3 wins on the year. Surprisingly enough, they won 2 AFC North games, and neither were against Cincinnati, who is their biggest kryptonite, really, the Cleveland Browns are. But nonetheless, this Ravens team is just looking to lock up the number 3 seed in the playoffs. They are in that playoff race for a reason, and they're going to prove it with this game. I think they dominate for all 4 quarters, really win this game thoroughly. Probably a late touchdown by DTR. Ravens winning this one 31-10 in my eyes. I think they lock up this seed easily. And it kind of makes the next game a little less climactic, I guess. But at the same time, it is important for the other team, that being the Cincinnati Bengals, who are on the road in Pittsburgh this week. Steelers with a win and a Ravens loss would end up as the number 3 seed. With us predicting the Ravens a victory, though, this game is more important for Cincinnati, who is 8-8. A win and a Broncos and Dolphins loss puts them into the playoffs this year, which I'm sure no one wants, including the Kansas City Chiefs, who are saying that they might start Chris Aludikin, who is their practice squad quarterback, over Carson Wentz, just to help the Broncos win. So nonetheless, I do think this is going to be one of the best games of the weekend. Steelers-Bengals, a tough AFC North division, like always. Do the Bengals get the win and keep their playoff hopes alive, or does Pittsburgh end Cincinnati's season before Sunday even starts? Owen, what are your thoughts?
With us both predicting the Ravens to win the game earlier, this game does not mean as much for Pittsburgh anymore, but it still means something because There is still seeding implications here. The Chargers and Steelers are neck and neck right now for the 5 and 6 seeds right there. And really, for like a team like Pittsburgh, like, would you rather go into Houston the first round of the playoffs, or would you rather go into Baltimore in the first round of the playoffs? So it's kind of what the Steelers are kind of looking at right now. If they want to rest starters, they can. I'm sure everyone's hoping they don't, just so it can at least be an entertaining football game. But like you mentioned for Cincinnati, this is a must-win for them. If they don't win this game, it is over. Their season is officially done. And they've been really on a tear these past couple weeks. I believe they've won 4 in a row they are on right now. Defense is actually making plays. The defense is looking better. The offense has been doing enough to win these games. So Cincinnati has got a lot of momentum right now. But they're going to run into a steel curtain because I have the Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 18. I know everyone probably wants to go with Cincinnati just because they're right there. They're so close. It feels like they're back together. But there's just a lot of games, like a lot of these divisional opponents, like Baltimore and Cincinnati. I know Lamar Jackson completely cruised past this team a couple weeks ago. And I know the Steelers also haven't been the same team. But this is past couple weeks, rather. But this is a divisional game, so we already know it's probably going to be a close game. And I feel like just with how the season has really gone for Cincinnati, it's going to feel like one of those moments where the defense is going to kind of let them down a little bit here again. And the Bengals are going to kind of have to play catch up a little bit, but playing catch up against a Steelers defense like that, I'm not sure is going to happen that well. So it's going to be a close one, but in the end, I think Cincinnati's season will end in Pittsburgh.
I don't. I think Cincinnati gets it done. If you look at the last 2 weeks for these couple teams, the last few weeks, I should say, not two, but last couple weeks for these two teams, they're going in opposite directions right now. Pittsburgh has just kind of fallen off from where they were at one point, and Cincinnati's starting to rise up in the rankings. Once 5-8, now 8-8. Once at that 10-4 mark, now at 10-6. This is just a Steelers team that's kind of lost it. They've lost the wheels. They've lost the locker room. And if they lose this game, I don't think you can find a single bone in my body that's willing to pick the Steelers in a playoff game, especially if they have to go into Baltimore for the second time this season. I think Cincinnati's playing one of the best football that we've seen, especially from Joe Burrow. If this team was 10 or 11 wins and firmly locked in the playoffs, even though I love my Bills and I love Josh Allen, he's the MVP. He's the MVP if they have 11 wins. And unfortunately for the Cincinnati Bengals, it's just not worked out that way. It's been a tough season. But I do think that there's a little bit of hope in that locker room. And there's a little bit of love from this Bengals team. And that defense has looked a lot better as of late. Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense has been struggling. So I think that this game's going to be close. It's going to come down to the wire. But the Cincinnati Bengals play spoiler to the Steelers 5 seed, winning this one 27-21. And another really good football game to close out their season. I don't know if it'll make them into the playoffs because it's going to take a lot on Sunday for that to happen still. But I do think that this matters a lot more for Pittsburgh having to go to Baltimore now instead of playing against the lowly Houston Texans. So go ahead and give me the Cincinnati Bengals. As just 2 games in, we have a disagreement. Owen, as we move into the Sunday slate, it's going to start with the 1 p.m. games. Starting off with the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers, an NFC South showdown between the 2nd and 4th place teams. This is a big game for Atlanta, as for Carolina. Carolina for draft stock, and Atlanta for a potential playoff berth. A Falcons win and a Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss will put them into the playoffs, and a Falcons win and a Bucs win would put the Bucs in the playoffs. So really big 1 o'clock slate. We'll start it off with the Falcons and Panthers. Do the Falcons at least win their game and give themselves a chance for the Saints to make some nice little history for them? Or do the Panthers play upset with Bryce Young and the team that's kind of looked a lot better these last few weeks?
I'm going to be honest. If it wasn't for that performance by Michael Penix last week, I probably would have leaned towards Carolina on this one. But Michael Penix did look really impressive last week. Sure, he did miss a couple throws, but he's a rookie. What do you expect? And the passes that he did hit his targets, they were spot-on throws. They were looking really nice. And like you mentioned, the Falcons are right in the thick of it for the playoffs. Good chance they probably get eliminated even with a win because I don't know if Tampa Bay is going to lose, but we'll get to that later. But going up against this Panthers team. This Panthers team, I feel like, has shown that they're not here to tank. They're here to still win football games, especially late in the season here. Bryce Young has been playing his best ball, like we've been saying for the past couple of weeks now. But for a game like this, I feel like the stakes are just really high here. And at home for the Falcons as well. And Michael Penix, again, coming off a good game. Same with Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson also had a really nice game as well. So give me the Falcons to win this one. It might be a bit of a closer game, I think, also. But in the end, I think the Falcons are going to get it done and stay alive for the moment for that NFC South title.
Yeah, I have to agree here. I think by the time the game's over, the other game will also be over. So probably not going to be alive for too long, potentially. But nonetheless, I think Atlanta at least gets this one done. Michael Penix did have an amazing game last week. And if it wasn't for Riley Patterson giving everybody hope that they could win this game at the end, then there's a chance that we're talking about the Falcons just needing a win here, and they're in. And unfortunately for them, the start to the season they had versus where they're at now has just not been the same team. It's been in a very unfortunate circumstances for this team. Kirk Cousins hasn't looked that great. Michael Penix is finally getting the starting reins a little bit too late. And unfortunately for this Falcons team, it's probably too little too late. But I do have them winning this game and finishing the season above 500 for the first time since 2018, so they can at least be appreciative of that. So Falcons getting this one done. I say 21-17, a very close game. This Panthers team's looked a lot better the last couple weeks. Bryce Young has been absolutely balling. I think they'll keep this one close. I think it's going to be a good little homage to the Panthers fans in the season they've had. I understand 4-13 is not where you want to be in the season, but at the same time, for where they started versus how they ended the season, I think you have a lot more hope going into next year, especially with number 9 as your quarterback. So go ahead and give me the Falcons to win this game. Great season by the Falcons, but nonetheless, it's over. Moving into the AFC South, a Texans-Titans showdown. Texans locked into the number 4 seed, more than likely resting starters this week. And then on the other side, it is the Tennessee Titans who hold the number 2 overall pick in the draft. So a win for the Titans would drop them a little bit. A loss for the Titans would keep them there at 2, depending what happens with the Bills and Patriots game. So, Owen, who do you have winning this game? Probably between the Titans and the Texans backups. Who do you got?
Yeah, even though the Titans aren't going to be playing their starters, I still think it's going to be a close game here. I don't think it's going to be a blowout from any side here in this one, but give me the Tennessee Titans to win this one and make things a little bit interesting for that draft and that NFL draft for this April. You know, you kind of mentioned it earlier again with the starters not playing, and the Texans have already kind of not been looking great at all like these past couple weeks, and now most likely will be resting their starters. Hasn't been made official yet as of Tuesday at like 2:30 p.m. But for the Titans here too, obviously losing would be better for them, but I feel like you've seen from like a lot of teams in the years past, like look at the Giants last week. They don't care about tanking. They just want to win. Even though I feel like they kind of did it for like a screw you fans, if anything, for what the Giants did the last week. But I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans here. They're going to be playing their starters. Any team that like has their starting roster against someone else's backup roster, they better win that football game. I don't care what positioning you are in. They better win that football game. Otherwise, that is going to be an embarrassing loss for that team. So give me the Tennessee Titans to win this one in a close one. And again, if you guys want to see my score predictions, you guys can always check out my little slideshow videos I make also on my YouTube channel right here. It's like a 2 to 3 minute video where you guys can see all my scores on there. Nice little short video. If you guys want to check it out, it'll be right here on my YouTube channel. But anyways, give me the Tennessee Titans to win this one. And who do you got winning this AFC South battle?
I got Houston winning this game, and it's because of a couple different things here. If they do play their backups, which I do think they will, and yes, I know it sounds crazy. I'm picking a team that's starting their backups. So I do think, here's the thing, though. If you remember a couple seasons ago, they had Davis Mills, who was starting, and he was pretty solid. He's still the backup quarterback now, and he's still a very solid quarterback, to say the least. And on top of that, they have some pretty good receiver depth, as we've been able to note, that they're going to have to play some form of starter in this game at receiver, considering they've already lost Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs for the season. So they're going to still have to play some of their starters in this game. on the receiving position. The offensive line's not going to be too big of a deal, I don't think, considering the offensive line's really not that great to begin with. And then on top of that, on the defensive side of things, they have one of the most deep pass rushes in the league right now. So I really don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. I think it's going to be a really lower scoring game. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think this game probably goes to overtime, but I do have the Texans winning overtime 20-14. Very fun game, very close game. As the Titans don't tank their draft stock, they somehow manage to stay at number 2 or number 1. And for the Houston Texans, they get a nice little win as they move into the playoffs with the backups at this position. I think a lot of these kinds of games are going to be due to like coaching staffs and things like that. And I think D'Amico Ryans is still a good coach despite what this on the field product has been for the Houston Texans this season. So go ahead and give me Houston to win this game near the end of the year. Moving into an NFC East showdown, it is a Saquon Barkley reunion in Philadelphia. Eagles and Giants. Massive game for the Eagles here, as with a win, they could potentially, move up in the draft. In the first round of the playoffs. I think. I'm not quite
No,
sure.
the winner of Lions Vikings gets the 1 seed, so the Eagles are locked in at the 2.
Okay, so the Eagles are locked in at the 2, so they might rest starters in this game. I'm not too sure on what will happen with that. As for the opposite side, though, you got the Giants, who won last week and now, I believe, pick at number 5 or number 6 in the draft. Nonetheless, for them, a very good game. They finally put together a complete performance. This week, they're going to need a ton in order to beat a Philadelphia Eagles team if they play the starters. If they don't, they don't. We'll see what ends up happening. Eagles, Giants, who do you have in Week 18? Closing out the season for New York. What do you got, Barkley or Barkley's old team?
Well, I will say for starters, Saquon Barkley will not be breaking that rushing record because I don't think they will be playing their starters this week. And even if the team really does want Saquon to play, he might only play like a snap or two because from everything that Saquon Barkley said, he doesn't seem like he cares too much about breaking Dickerson's rushing record. So I don't think he's going to get to it. This game doesn't mean anything for Philadelphia. If this game did mean something for Philadelphia, I think he would break the rushing record. But I also feel like it's kind of unfair a little bit because they get an extra game. Yeah, an extra game. So for that aspect of things, I don't think Barkley's going to get to that record. But with that being said, I do think Philadelphia should rest their starters this game. I think they will rest their starters this game. And everyone's been talking about how the Giants fans have been an absolute hell, especially after winning last week. And they don't have to worry about playing against Saquon Barkley, which is good news. But the bad news is that you're going to win this game. I think they're going to go on a 2-game winning streak to end the season and entirely kill their draft chances here. I think Drew Lock might have another good game here. I think the Eagles are going to save some of their game planning for the playoffs, kind of what Joe Brady has been doing with the Bills, supposedly. But I'm going to take the Giants winning this one. I think the Giants are going to try to win one more game, even though I know the fans will hate to see it. But Giants don't care about tanking, as they proved last week by giving up their number 1 overall pick to the Patriots. So give me New Jersey to take this one over the Eagles' backups. And, yeah, that'll do it for their season.
I again think the Eagles are going to win with their backups here. If you look last week, they literally had Kenny Pickett, and he was cooking against the Cowboys. This is a Giants defense that's a lot worse to me. I think another thing here is we've seen their backup tight end, Jake Stoll. He's been used all season anyway. They've also used a lot of the receiving depth as well. They still have Jahan Dotson, who hasn't even touched the field. He was a former first-round pick, so if he's a backup, he's going to be out there. Eagles' offensive line is going to be good regardless. It's just the scheming of that offensive line coach who's just played phenomenal as well. And then on top of that, the defense is not really too bad when you're playing up against one of the worst offenses in the game, led by one of the worst quarterbacks in the game, in Drew Lock. So realistically, I do think that the Eagles are going to win this game 20-17, 16, something like that in that range. I'll go ahead and say Philadelphia gets this one done. Kenny Pickett gets them a nice little win to close out the season. And for the Giants, they don't fully tank their draft stock, but they do tank it a little bit. Moving into the final AFC South game of the week, the Colts-Jaguars at 8-8. This is a pretty unfortunate game for the Colts, being that they were right there in the thick of the playoff race until they lost last week to the Giants. So, unfortunately for them, their season ending with that loss. As for the Jaguars, they're fighting for the top draft pick in this year's draft. So, a loss in this game would be very crucial for them. So, we'll see what happens there. It is expected that the Colts will still play their starters just because the starters don't want to sit. They want to play this final game. And, unfortunately for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't know if that'll be a good or a bad thing for them, but we'll see what ends up happening. Colts, Jaguars, AFC South battle. Owen, who do you got in this game to close out the season?
I'm going to take the Colts in this one. I know the Jaguars have been playing a bit better football in recent weeks, but I think the Colts are going to be really upset with – I know they are really upset with how that game ended last week, and I think they're going to want to show out in the final week of the season in front of the home crowd here against the divisional rival. I think they're going to come out firing. Just, a little bit of a better feel to how the season ended going into the offseason. I know it's still going to hurt regardless, especially with how the game last week against the Giants went. But gives them a little something to take into the offseason here. And I know Mac Jones, I will say he has been playing a bit better in recent weeks here too. He started off really rough, filling in that starting role for Trevor Lawrence, but he's been playing a bit better, I feel like, as the weeks have been going on. So this game could be a bit interesting, but I'm going to go with the home team here. Give me the Colts to win. And the one team I don't think will tank their draft stock too much, being the Jaguars. So give me the Colts to win this one and to finish their season above 500.
Yeah, I have to agree here. I'm going to go ahead and lean with Indianapolis in this football game. I think they're a very good team. It's just they kind of got a little unlucky with that loss last week. A kick return touchdown, a long touchdown for Malik Neighbors as well. A little unfortunate situation there. But nonetheless, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've played pretty good these last couple weeks. I just think that they'll keep this one decently close for most of the game. I think the Colts pull away late with a late touchdown, winning this one 27-13. Colts getting the job done, finishing above 500 for the first time since Phillip Rivers was there in 2020.
Wow.
And as for the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the opposite side here, finishing the season with a 4-13 record and likely a top 6 draft pick. So congratulations to them on officially completing their tank. As for the Colts, unfortunate situation, but hopefully y'all can make it back next year. As we move into the next game, it is a Commanders-Cowboys showdown. The first game is not going to be matched at all in this game. There's no chance between these two teams. That game was insane. So we'll see what happens in this one. There is something to play for the Commanders, so they will be playing their starters because a loss and a Packers win would make the Commanders the 7th seed and the Packers the 6th seed. So for the Commanders, they really need to win this game because nobody wants to go and play Philadelphia in the first round of the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now.
Oof.
So for this game, who do you got winning? Do the Commanders hold on to the 6th seed, or do the Cowboys play spoiler against the division rivals with a win? Fun fact I want to throw out there really quickly before we move into this game. The Cowboys have not went winless against the Commanders, Redskins, whatever, in a season since 1999. They've won at least one game against the Commanders every season since then. This would be the first season since then that it happens. Does it happen, Owen? What are your thoughts?
I think it will happen. I think the Commanders will sweep the Dallas Cowboys this season. Commanders is something to play for. Dallas doesn't. Dallas played like absolute crap last week. I've been praising Dallas's defense for weeks, and they go out and lay an egg like that for me against Kenny Pickett, who can't even throw a football properly. So, yeah, that was something. I saw someone post something saying, "Man, I've never seen a football throw a quarterback before." That was interesting.
Yeah.
But for this game here too, I do think it will be a close game, similar to how it was for the Commanders last week. I don't think it's going to go to overtime or anything like that. But I did see one crazy stat too, and no other rookie quarterback in history has had as many game-winning drives as Jaden Daniels has in his rookie season, which is super impressive. And I think he's going to add to that today, or not today, on Sunday. But it's going to be a close game. Yeah, they're playing today. Game just got flexed. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. I think they're going to lock up that number 6 seed in the NFC because I don't think they want to play Philadelphia after watching what they did to Dallas last week. So Give me the Commanders to get locked into the 6th seed here as they get geared up for the playoffs.
Yeah, go ahead and give me Washington as well. A lot to play for in this game, and realistically, nobody wants to go to Green Bay. Not to Green Bay, yeah, to Green Bay. To Philadelphia to play Saquon Barkley and the Eagles team in the first round of the playoffs. It's just not what you want. So go ahead and give me Washington to win this game, 11-5. They're finishing the season 12-5, which is just insane to think about heading into the year. We thought maybe if they're lucky, 9 wins, but here they are sitting at 11 before the final game. Congratulations to Jaden Daniels. I was wrong about you. I will admit that right now. Unfortunately, I thought Drake May was the better quarterback. I still think he can be, but as of right now, I have to give that edge to Jaden Daniels. Congratulations. Never like to see a guy fail, so I'm very happy that you proved me wrong. Not that you're watching this anyway, but Commanders win over the Cowboys, finishing the season with 12 wins. I'll go ahead and say 27-13.
All right.
Moving into the next game, it is a NFC North showdown. Number 7 Green Bay Packers taking on the Chicago Bears, like we just mentioned with the Commanders game. The Packers will play their starters, hoping the Commanders lose. So the Packers will win this game, and the Commanders lose that game. Then the Packers move to the 6th seed instead of the 7. As for the opposite side team here, what was once a 4-2 Chicago Bears team is now 4-12, 10-game losing streak. Could be 11 after this game. What are your thoughts on this one, Owen? Do the Packers win this game, or do the Bears finally end their win streak to close the losing streak to win the season? End the season.
You know, much similar to the Cleveland Browns, the Bears are the other team I feel like is really trying to tank because, man, they have continuously looked bad every single week. I feel like the offense is just getting worse and worse and worse every single week after it was looking like it was getting better and better every single week. Now it's just on a straight decline, getting worse every single week. But, I mean, with how the coaching staff situation really is in Chicago right now, you can't really blame them too much with just everything that's been going on there in Chicago. Their defense played great last week, holding Seattle to 6 points. So there's that, but you still lost. So there's also that as well. But for Green Bay here, obviously they're hoping that the Commanders will lose. Neither of us think it's going to happen, but still a possibility. They both play at the same time, so they kind of do have to play their starters in this one. I do think the Packers will win this football game. It's just a lot of good things from the Packers and a lot of not good things from the Chicago Bears. And one thing that I do find that is pretty interesting, for 2 years in a row, this will be the first, I guess technically this will be the first time ever a team will have the number 7 seed back-to-back seasons. Packers had it last year when they went into Dallas and beat the Cowboys, and now they might get the 7 seed again and have to travel to another NFC East team. So pretty interesting to see that. But
I don't think I'm going to pull the upset like I did last year because I don't think I'm picking the Packers for that game.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But will you pick the Packers to win this game is the question.
I will indeed. I think this Packers team is going to have a lot to play for in this game. They're going to come out and they're going to play very hard and very quick in this kind of a game. They're going to dominate. They really are going to dominate. I think the Packers win this game 31-10. I think it's not even close for Chicago. They're going to end the season in just misery. It's been a tough season for them. We all expected them to have some growing pains, but this level of growing pains is just absolutely insane. So unfortunate for them as it is. It is going to be an 11-game losing streak to end this season for Chicago. Funny enough, on the opposite side, the Packers are going to have 12 wins as the 7th seed. They're like, what do we need to do at this point? As unfortunate situation for the NFC. Green Bay gets the win, though. Bears lose. Moving on to the Saints and the Bucks. I called it before it got there.
Nice.
The Buccaneers with a win would lock up the number 4 seed in the NFC. And on the opposite side, the Saints have a chance to play the biggest spoiler of the season, taking them out of the playoffs. As we get to know a lot about the NFC in the 1 o'clock window, as we will find out whether the Bucs or Falcons win the NFC South, and if the Commanders or the Packers get the 6 or 7 seeds. So there's a lot to see and unpack this week, especially in the NFC side of the bracket. For the AFC, there's really not much that's going to vary. Maybe that Steelers number 5 seed could vary, obviously. And realistically, if the Ravens lose to the Browns, then we'll see what
That's
happens
not
with that.
realistic.
Yeah, again, I don't think that is realistic. But I think this is going to be a good game. I'm sure you might think it is going to be as well. Bucks Saints, who do you got winning? Week 18, does Mayfield make the playoffs back-to-back years with Tampa?
Well, like you just said, you think that's going to be an entertaining game. I do not. I think the Buccaneers will kill the Saints in this one. I don't trust the Saints at all. Ever since they lost Derek Carr, I've been saying it every single week, except last week because we didn't do our podcast last week. Merry Christmas, by the way. But without Derek Carr, their offense can do like little to nothing, and it's really sad to see. And they haven't had Alvin Kamara out there either, so their offense is really sluggish, and the defense is it's been there. It's been there. It hasn't been insane, but it hasn't been too great either. But for the Buccaneers here too, getting the win against the Carolina team, huge win for them. All they got to do is win this game, and they're in the playoffs. I think they'll do it. I think they'll get in. I don't think Mayfield's gonna accept not getting into the playoffs. He's been playing out of his mind this season, the best year of his career, in my opinion. I think it's pretty clear this is the best year of his career.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Had
in your
5
opinion.
touchdowns last week. So give me Tampa Bay to win this one, lock up the NFC South, and cruise into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay wins this one as well. I don't know why I said I think it'll be an entertaining game because it won't be. I think the most entertaining part of this game is going to be the Buccaneers cannons going off 12 times when they get touchdowns. I do think this game is just going to be brutal for the Saints after what they put on that field against the Packers Monday night that was the last thing I needed to see from them this season. Obviously, the Raiders game last week, not a good game either. So, realistically, it's unfortunate, but I think Tampa Bay wins. And they dominate 28-7 as the Buccaneers close out the 1 o'clock window in the NFC with a victory. As for the AFC, our Buffalo Bills getting set to take on the New England Patriots, who sit with the number 1 overall draft pick. So a massive game for the Patriots faithful. Do they want the number 1 pick? Do they want the number 2? Where do they want to pick in the draft? This is a very closely ordered draft. I can't remember the last time we had 7 teams with 3 or 4 wins that could realistically still get the one spot in the draft. So this is a very interesting finish to the season. We'll see how it all plays out. Bills are not going to be starting any of their starters in this game, most likely. Josh Allen will start for the first drive, and that's it, only because the Buffalo Bills want him to keep his start streak. On the opposite side of this coin is New England. They haven't had much to play for all season, but they do play close in rivalry games. They almost beat us with our starters last time. Do the Patriots win this game and end up ruining their draft stock? Or do the Bills backups get the job done in Foxborough? Owen, what are your thoughts on this game? I see you with the little, I don't know, Jim.
Well, give me the New England Patriots to win this game. Total no bias whatsoever, but Bills aren't playing their starters. They're going to play Josh Allen. He's probably just going to have one hand off and walk off the field. And the Patriots are not one of those teams that have been lying down to tank this season. They've been still playing competitive in these football games. They remind me a bit of the Carolina Panthers, like decent quarterback play, but being competitive and just not able to win.
I think it's a little bit better because if you think about it, they've had 3 games this season go to overtime against the Seahawks, the Titans, and somebody else. But they've had so many close games too. They almost beat us. They've had a lot of really close games. Realistically, we could be talking about the 7-10 Patriots. Whoa. If I'm being honest.
Honestly, I'd prefer that because then they get a way worse draft pick. But
they're still. If they win this game, they're probably going to drop to 5.
That depends what the other teams do, though, if they win or lose.
Well, the Browns play the Ravens. That's instant loss. Which, by the way, if the Browns lose to the Ravens and the Patriots beat the Bills, the Browns get the number 1 overall pick.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane. But give me the Patriots nonetheless. I think they really want to beat the Bills, starters or not. They played really competitive against the Bills. They really wanted that win. They didn't get it. And, even though this won't mean as much because Bills aren't playing for anything, Patriots are still going to come out, end the season with a W, kill their draft stock, as I would love to see it, as the, that's going to do it for the Patriots. Is they'll be on the clock for the draft after this one, as the Bills will get ready to take on who will ever be that number 7 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I do think the Bills lose this game as well. 21-7 final score prediction for this game. I think the Patriots give up a late one, if anything. I don't think we get shut out or anything crazy like that, but I don't think we're going to win either. I think Trubisky's going to have a decent game. I don't think it's going to be the worst thing ever, but I do think that New England's going to win this football game. They've looked pretty solid these last couple games, and now playing up against backups, I can't expect them to lose this game. I think they'll do just enough to squeak by the Bills in this game. At home, too, factors in a lot for me. So Patriots end the season on a low note. High note as in they won this game. Low note as in they don't get the number 1 pick. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback anyway, so the number 1 or number 3 pick doesn't really change too much for them. So
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me New England in this game. Patriots, get it done. As we move into the Raiders and Chargers in the 4 o'clock window, the first game, this is another big game for the team on the left here. The Chargers really need to win this game because if the Steelers do lose to the Bengals like I predict and you don't, the Steelers would be the 6th seed. The Chargers could jump up to the 5 seed with a win against Las Vegas. So very big game for Las Vegas. Nonetheless, at Los Angeles, not Las Vegas. Los Angeles in this game. I think they do have a shot to move up to the number 5 seed. What are your thoughts on this game? Does Justin Herbert and the Chargers move up? Or do the Raiders fall down in the draft stock?
Yeah, this is kind of a tough game because since I did have the Steelers winning this one, I think that basically locks the Chargers in as the 6th seed. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game plays out, whether the Chargers play their starters or not, or if the Chargers are going to pull a Dan Campbell and be like, they practiced all week for it anyway, just let them play. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to take the Chargers nonetheless in this one. Chargers, obviously, as of right now, they will be playing their starters. So if that changes, if the Steelers win, that's to be seen. But with how close that Steelers-Bengals game I think will be, it's pretty tough to predict who'll even win that game. So I'm going to stay on the safe side here. I think the Chargers will be playing their starters. I think they'll win. Raiders are an absolute mess. We've been seeing it for quite a while now. Still insane that this Raiders team beat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore earlier in the season. It's pretty crazy. But I'm going to take the Chargers winning this one. And yeah, who do you got winning this one?
I have the Chargers winning this one as well, although for me this is a lot more important because they move up to the 5 seed with this win. I do think the Chargers are going to dominate for this entire game, a 27-10 victory against the Raiders. Raiders haven't looked that great this season. They'll head into the offseason with a plan to get something changed at the quarterback spot. Other than that, they really need to shore up the secondary and the probably the running back room. I hope they do something about that, considering they had no run game all season. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But as of right now, NFL season's still going. Chargers are still going into the playoffs with a win in this one. Chargers moving up to the 5 seed to take on Houston. As we move into the next game, it is the Cardinals and the 49ers. Not sure what the word is on Brock Purdy just yet, if he'll start or not, considering he did mess up a ligament in his elbow again in the game last night. So we'll see what is to be said about him. As of right now, I'm going to think about it as he plays this game. I don't know what your thought process will be, but Cardinals at 7-9, 49ers at 6-10, a very unfortunate situation for one of these teams, and the other teams played a little bit better than we expected them to. So, Cardinals, 49ers, NFC West battle. Who do you got, Owen, in this one?
I did pick this game, and if Brock Purdy was playing, and I do have the 49ers winning this game. With just how they played last week against the Lions, they came really close to beating them, scoring 34 points. Their offense probably looked the best it has all season, really. But big question will be Brock Purdy and if he will play or not. I feel like even if he might be healthy enough to go, Kyle Shanahan might just be like, yeah, we will just rest you for the game, like you're done for the season. Or Brock Purdy will play. Brock Purdy will be like, coach, put me in. I'm playing. It's the last game of the season. Let's go. And they play this and they get the win. But that's how I'm going to see it kind of for this game. Cardinals, they've been the most up and down team this season, I feel like, for sure. So it's really hard to predict the Cardinals to win or even lose a game. So And it feels like Kyler Murray's kind of like, I don't know if I want to say out of it. I just feel like ever since like they went to overtime against the Panthers, like he's just seemed like so upset about himself. Just something's been off about him ever since like they kind of got eliminated. So I'm going to take the 49ers in this one. I feel like they can get some little juice, a little bit of something to take into the offseason because this team should not be 6-10, but they are at 6-10. Really unfortunate for them, like you mentioned earlier. So they're going to go into the offseason with a W, see if they can carry it into next season. But I got the 49ers winning this one.
Yeah, me too. I think the Niners have just had a solid season. And realistically, they shouldn't be 6-10. I understand you see that 6-10 record, and you're like, oh, how can you have them win this game? When they're healthy, the 49ers are one of the best teams in the league, and especially the NFC. And even that division is really not that great with the Cardinals and Seahawks kind of dragging it down a little bit. I do think the 49ers are good enough to win at their best. And I think if you look at what they did against the Lions last week, it should show that. And realistically, I think they played just as hard as they did last week. And if they do that, I think they're going to beat this Cardinals team that's really just, they got nothing left to play for. They're not really too happy about the season they had, despite being a lot better than most people expected. They had a set goal at the start of the year, and they didn't accomplish it, unfortunately for them. So with that consistency factor, they really need to sure that up because at their best, they can cook the LA Rams by like 30 points. And at their worst, they lost to the Panthers by like 25 points. So realistically, they really need to figure it out. And for the 49ers, just trying to stay healthy is their biggest thing for this offseason. I don't know what they need to do, but they need to find some like health trainers to just kind of like, help them with like meditating or something. I don't know, something to hope and pray they don't get injured again. So Niners win this one 24-20, a close game to end the year. As we move in to the biggest game of the week for the AFC side of things, at least in our eyes, because we're Bills fans. A Broncos win would lock up the number 7 seed and ensure that they will take on Josh Allen's Bills in the wild card round. And a Kansas City Chiefs win would make it where the Dolphins beating the Jets later on at this same time slot would put the Dolphins into the playoffs. So we'll see what ends up happening with that if the Dolphins and Broncos both lose, although slim odds. With me having the Bengals beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Bengals would take the number 7 seed. And if the Bengals lose and both of these teams lose, the Broncos just stay at the number 7 pick. So Kansas City, Denver, a massive game here. The Chiefs backups will be in for this game. Maybe even Chris Aludikin will start this game. Practice squad quarterbacks. We'll see what happens with that. Chiefs, Broncos, number 7 seed on the line. Does Bo Nix get it done in his rookie season? Owen, what are your thoughts?
I know Bo Nix is a rookie, but you have to win this game. You better win this game. It's against the team's backups. I don't care that they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. If your season is on the line, and if your season is on the line and you're going up against a backup football team, you better come out with a victory. If not, I'm going to be really upset. So give me the Denver Broncos to win this game, as they should, as they get the 7 seed, as they have to go into Buffalo in the wild card round. But I will say, if Kansas City wins this game, I hope we know all hell will more than likely break loose. Because the way I kind of feel right now for this, if the Broncos lose, I feel like even though, like, if Miami wins, they're in. I feel like if Denver's going to lose, I feel like Miami's also going to lose. And Cincinnati's going to get in. That just kind of feels like how it's going to play out for me in my head anyway. So I got the Broncos winning this game, as they should. Do you also have the Broncos winning? Or do you have whoever the hell their practice squad guy is again getting the job?
Chris Aludikin.
Chris Aludikin.
I do have the Broncos winning this game just because this is a backup football team, like you mentioned. I think the Broncos score 24, the Chiefs get 10. I think here's the thing. I do think that this Broncos defense has been very stingy this season, and 10 points seems like a lot against a practice squad team. But here's the thing. I think they're going to make a lot of mistakes in this game because this is a all-or-nothing kind of football game. They're going to come out, and they're going to have, like, so much expectations. Everybody's going to be watching them. This is the game of the week. This is what, oh, we need this. We need this. We really need this. That's going to be going through everybody's head at all waking moments, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on this Denver Broncos team. And for that reason alone, I feel like this is a very nerve-wracking football game, to say the least, for them. I think it is going to be decently close heading into the fourth quarter. Go ahead and give me Denver to win this game, though. I think they will pull out this game. winning their 10th game of the season, locking up the number 7 seed, and making the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So for this Denver Broncos team, it's fun to see them do that. I'll go ahead and give Kansas City their flowers for another phenomenal season. Moving into the NFC side of things, though, we're going to move to the Rams and Seahawks. A massive game between these two teams. Normally, this would be for the division at this point, but even with a Seahawks win and a Rams loss, the teams would finish with even records in the division against each other, 1-1, and the Rams have the better in-conference record. So no matter what, the Rams are winning the division. It's already set in stone. Fortunately for Seattle, their season done. Rams, Seahawks, a massive football game here still in a lot of people's eyes just for entertainment value. But overall for this game, I don't think it's going to mean much. Rams can still lose this game and lose out on the number 3 seed. If the Bucs win, then the Bucs would get the number 3 seed and the Rams would get the 4. So big game here for them. Rams, Seahawks, who do you got closing out the season for Seattle?
I think Seattle's going to come into this game a little bit pissed off with how the whole division scenario played out and everything with strength of victory, because I know I got kicked and battered all season for rooting for teams based on strength of victory. But look here, it played out well for the Rams as they won the division due to strength of victory. So I think the Seattle Seahawks...
The Seahawks beat some shit teams.
Okay. But I think the Seattle Seahawks in this game are going to show a bit of their own strength of victory and get the win here. But I will also say for this game, even though there's a chance the Rams can fall to the number 4 seed, I did see a report the Rams are not playing their starters this week. So with that being said, I'm going to double check when I'm going to finish talking just to make sure I didn't say anything that was wrong. But I did see a report. Rams are not playing their starters this week, so give me Seattle to end the season with a win as the Rams rest up for the playoffs.
You see, with you saying that, I'll trust you on this, so I'm going to switch my pick from what it was originally.
Ooh.
I'll give the Seahawks the win 23 to 14. 23 to 14, Seahawks win. And a lot of people are going to be upset because the Seahawks finished with 10 wins and didn't make the playoffs. But the Seahawks all season were fraudulent. And I told everybody this, and everybody didn't believe me. And here they are about to miss the playoffs again. So just want to throw that out there, Seahawks fans. I'm sorry, I'm your biggest hater, and I know, but you guys really didn't beat anybody great. You know how you could have won this whole thing? You know how you could have just prevented strength of victory from determining your fate? Beating the New York Football Giants. That's all you had to do, and you couldn't do that. So if you can't beat the Giants, then you don't deserve to make the playoffs. And if you're the Rams and you can beat the Bills, then you deserve to make the playoffs too. So go ahead and give me the Rams to be a very good team for this year's playoffs. I do think the Seahawks will win this game, considering the fact that there's really not much you can really do about this whole Rams situation. I'm surprised that they're not going to start any of the
I have the report on my phone. I know no one can see it. I know it's super blurry, but Ari Merar, if I said that correctly, he already said Rams head coach Sean McVay said that resting key starters is probably the direction they'll go. Emphasis on the word key starters. He did say key starters.
Yeah, so it'll probably be close still.
But another report that I did see just now is that Brock Purdy's season is over. So Brock Purdy's not playing against the Arizona Cardinals. So there's that. Well, unlikely. It's unlikely. It's not confirmed. It's just unlikely. But...
Okay, so the Cardinals are going to win that game too now. So we're both wrong. Got it?
Already wrong. But I'm not changing my pick. I'm leaving it. I'm not going to do that to our lovely fans here. I know you're already switching your pick to Cardinals.
No, I'm writing down Seahawks.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Move on here.
Yeah. Dolphins, Jets. Dolphins, obviously, with the Broncos beating the Chiefs in our thoughts. That is basically over. Dolphins are playing the Jets, though, this one. With the Dolphins winning this game and the Broncos losing, the Dolphins would make the playoffs. Both the Broncos and the Dolphins lose. Bengals win. Bengals are in the playoffs. And if all three lose, which would just be funny, then the Broncos make the playoffs. So, Dolphins, Jets, Dolphins looking to keep their season alive here. Brian's probably freaking out. What are your thoughts on this game? Who gets it done? Do the Jets have one more spoiler in them before the season's over? Or do the Dolphins finish with a 9-8 record?
Even though we both picked the Broncos to win earlier, the time slots are exactly the same. So I don't feel like we can be like, oh, well, since the Dolphins saw that the Broncos won,
No,
they're not going to come
I'm
out with
not
as much
saying
juice.
that.
I mean, it's like the same time, yeah, but the Dolphins should win this game, and they will win this game. Jets have, the Jets are the Jets, man. There's not much you can really say about them at this point. It's really sad. I was going to say they've been getting a bit better. They've been being a bit more competitive, but after last week's game in Buffalo.
And after signing Justin Fields in free agency, they got a little bit better too.
Okay, yeah. I mean, last night I played Madden and I chose the Jets because I don't know what was wrong with me. But I played this game and I won this game with the Jets. But long story short, that's fantasy. This is real life. So I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins winning this game. Dolphins will do just enough to win, and potentially, if the Broncos lose, but we don't see that happening, get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I also think the Dolphins win. 24-17 is my final score prediction for this game. I do think Miami's a pretty solid football team, and if they would have had even one more week with Tua early in the season against that Seahawks team, I think they would have won that game and they'd be in the playoffs right now. But nonetheless, unfortunately, it's not how it bounced for the Dolphins. Unfortunate season for Miami, we know that, but I do think they'll come back better next season because of it. Go ahead and give me the Dolphins to win this game, unfortunately ending their season regardless, though. And as for the Jets, just continuing their dysfunction as they look to maybe move up into the top 5 for a draft pick after this week, depending on how everything else goes. So, the Jets will lose this game. Dolphins 24, Jets 17, as we move in to the final game of the week and season of the regular season. As the 14-2 Minnesota Vikings, as the 5 seed, are taking on the 14-2 NFC North number 1 seed, Detroit Lions. This is the biggest stakes I've ever seen heading into a week 18 in my life. The winner with the 1 seed, the loser with a 5 seed, in a path on the road through the whole playoffs to make it to the Super Bowl. Who do you have winning this game? It's Jared Goff, it's Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell. The list goes on and on. Vikings lost against the Lions earlier this season. Do they get their revenge and win the 1 seed? Or does Detroit cap off a phenomenal franchise season with the number 1 seed for the first time in history? Owen, who wins?
I'm not going to spoil who you picked to win, but I already know who you're probably going to be picking after your remarks that you said to me earlier.
Yes.
But give me the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Detroit Lions and to take the number 1 seed. This is the game that I think the injuries will start catching up to, specifically the Lions defense. The offense has proven that they can still score lots and lots of points, but their defense is continuing to look worse week after week after week after suffering these huge injuries. And I think this is going to be the first case where you're going to see the injuries kind of catch up to Detroit here. Even though I had Detroit winning the division to start the season, I had the Vikings winning it now. Even though I had them 4th in their division, everyone was doubting this Vikings team. Everyone was doubting Sam Darnold.
Not everyone.
Look at them now. Okay, dude. Okay, whatever. But the way I look at this game is 2 really high-flying offenses, and one team has a really consistently good defense, and one team has a really banged-up, injured, depleted defense that has not been playing great football these past couple weeks. And that's really what it comes down to for me. They both have great head coaches, like you said. I know you trust Dan Campbell, so I know you're shaking your head.
I don't know.
Looking at this, I mean, they're both going to be scoring points, but if any defense is going to make a stop in this game, it's going to be Minnesota. Saying that right now, say it's a bold pick if you want, but Minnesota is going to sneak past Detroit and get the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Hear me out. Sam Darnold, I believed in you from day one. As soon as they told me you were the starter, I thought this Vikings team could win 9 or 10 games. I thought the Vikings would be a solid team this year. I never doubted this team. Thought they'd be good. I had you at 3rd in the division because I really do believe in Green Bay, and obviously Detroit was one of the best teams coming into the season. I do think that you guys have exceeded expectations, and I'll never take that away from you because you played phenomenal. But here's the thing. You have Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions, who are fuming from what happened last season, losing in the NFC Championship game to the 49ers when they had a multi-score lead. They had everything they needed to do to win that game. Here they are this season. Yeah, they got injuries. Everybody's got injuries. Yeah, they have some issues. Everyone's got issues. Here's the thing, though. With Dan Campbell and this Lions team, they are the best team in the NFL when they want to play like it. And in this kind of a setting, this much on the line, they are going to come out and they are going to play like that Detroit Lions team. I don't care who's on that defense, who's banged up, who's bruised. They're going to find a way. And I know they're going to find a way in this football game to get it done because Dan Campbell will get everybody in that locker room ready for this football game. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But go ahead and give me Detroit. I have them as my Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year. Had them as my number 1 seed. And they're going to stay that way as of now. Lions win this one 27-24, closing out the division in a thrilling game to close out the regular season. All the way to the end, here we are. Lions win as the Vikings take an L in Week 18. Thank you guys so much for watching, though. It's been a phenomenal week again. Week 18, closing out the season. Me and Owen have a whopping 4 games that we disagreed on this week. So we'll see what ends up happening with all of that. Either way, though, what's up?
You know what that means, though. That means I am the pick champion.
Yes.
For the first ever season of the OT podcast. So,
indeed,
if you guys are proud of me, you guys should totally like and subscribe as we speak. If you guys are proud of me for winning.
They're totally unsubscribing as you speak right now.
No, okay, dude. Oh,
Either
Mr.
way, guys.
Talking, no correct picks.
Okay, man. I did predict a lot of crazy games this season, so you got to throw that out there. Like, I picked the Colts over the Steelers. That was insane. I had a lot of games.
I forgot about that game.
But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, we'll see you guys. We have an NFL playoff predictions video coming out shortly with the season coming to a close. Owen, end this one for the fans.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this regular season, first ever regular season of the OT podcast. But don't worry, guys. There's much more to come. And Thomas already mentioned the playoff videos that we will be doing. There will be much more to come after that. So stay tuned if you guys want to ring that bell to get notified every time a new podcast is uploaded on Spotify or on YouTube, whatever you guys watch it on. But with that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your 2024 as we will see you guys all in 2025. And as I say, life forms out.